What do the following online teaching tools have in common? Google Classroom, Khan Academy, Google Bard, Dolly, Education Copilot, Hello History, ChatGPT. Okay, that last tool is probably the giveaway. These represent just a small portion of the hundreds, maybe thousands of teaching tools available to educators that use artificial intelligence, or AI, to help provide support for teaching and educational resources. Currently, AI is a relatively new technology in education, and there are many stories in the news about the challenges that teachers are facing as they try to figure out the best way to use AI in their practice, and also figure out how students should be allowed to use AI in their schoolwork. Personally, I find the open language-based AI tool ChatGPT fascinating. I can certainly understand why some educators are apprehensive about a tool that can generate a well-written report about nearly anything academic in just a matter of seconds. It all reminds me of the way math teachers needed to respond to the introduction of electronic calculators when I was a kid. I'm old enough, actually, to remember when pocket calculators were just becoming available in the classroom, and questions about whether we could bring them to school and use them in math class were regularly asked. Teachers and publishers of math materials needed to respond to these questions as they developed instructional experiences and resources. My teachers seemed to solve the issue pretty easily. We had signs in the math classroom that said, "No calculators allowed." And when one of the students in my 5th grade class asked, "Why not?" my teacher said, "It's not like you're going to be carrying around a calculator with you all the time in the real world." Well, Mrs. McGregor, it looks like maybe you spoke too soon. So why am I even talking about AI in this class about assessment? Simple. One of the first places that AI has been applied to education is in the area of measuring learning. As of today, there are dozens of services that provide on-the-fly assessment development. At sites such as QuestGen, Academic GPT, you can upload content documents and/or lists of learning outcomes, and these tools instantly generate multiple choice items, short answer questions, even complex essay questions that address the application of multiple outcomes. But just like the use of AI to generate reports and papers, the output of these assessment tools need to be scrutinized. There's no guarantee whatsoever that the content is accurate, that the distractors in multiple choice items are well written and function as viable alternatives, and that the items do in fact measure what is intended. So the only way you could effectively use any of these assessment generating tools is if you possess skills in the area of assessment design, which is precisely what this part of the class is all about. And by the way, for teachers who have signs in their classroom that say no AI allowed, I would respond with the same perspective. The only way students would be able to accurately use AI to support their writing is if they possess enough skills in writing to be able to determine what parts of AI-generated output is, in fact, accurate, well-written, organized, and complete. And certainly all of these skills are valuable. So I am embracing AI in the same way I have embraced the use of the calculator on my phone when I need to make some simple calculations that normally would require paper and pencil. The case for part 2 of this course involves you using an AI tool to generate assessment items for some specific learning outcomes. It'll only take a few seconds, amazingly. And then you'll analyze the output to see how well the machine worked. This analysis will not, by the way, just take you a few seconds. As you work through the case, you are presented with the information, examples, and practice needed to be really good at applying the rules for good assessment design. Readings from the course text will supplement your learning of these rules, and part 2 culminates with an exam that asks you to apply the rules in a number of common teaching situations. Specifically, the learning outcomes for this part of the course address strategies for effective selective response tests, that's Chapter 6, strategies for effective constructed response tests, that's Chapter 7, and assessing affective variables of interest, and that's Chapter 10. And I do want to point out that most of the information providing these rules are actually communicated to you in a document that I prepared on the rules for effective assessment item development, and not necessarily in the text. So if it isn't already the case for you, I have no doubt you will soon be using AI to support your teaching in many important ways. The skills facilitated in this part of the course speak to your ability to use such tools successfully.